Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Thanks to TriBooth, the best vocal booth for home or on-the-road voice recording. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George the Tach Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Thanks to Austrian Audio, making passion heard. And TriBooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200 to get $200 off your purchase. And speaking TriBooth, I think you were at VO Atlanta doing a bit of TriBooth work there, George.
Well, I was. They double dipped us. They had me paying to sponsor and TriBooth. So
Wow, there you go.
They're
What were you at? Two booths? Did you actually have two booths?
guys, I can't even begin to explain why we did this, but yeah, that is actually what happened. We had two booths right next to each other with a TriBooth in the middle.
Great idea.
Wow.
Yeah. So I split my time talking TriBooth with folks, with Rick, and doing demos and stuff, and then talking to folks about George the Tach, and tossing round mouse pads with my logos on them into the audience at the keynote. Closing event, which was a lot of fun.
I saw that.
Can I have
like
one?
A frisbee.
I was beaming people with those things, beaming them.
They were
hilarious.
going hard.
Vincent brought me one,
Who did? Oh, he did?
but I use a
okay, cool.
trackball.
I always picked you for a trackball type of guy, Robert. I'll be honest. Don't know why. I always thought, I bet Robert has a trackball.
Pretty ballsy.
Yeah.
I had a really nice time hanging out with
Got two
Vincent
of
from
them.
Source Elements. Really good dude, and it was a lot of fun. We had lunch together, and just this is why we go to these conferences. Us as vendors, we want to sell, but for me, being in this business as long as I've been here, interacting with voice actors since 2005, and it's just there's so many people to connect with, and I came home healthy. I feel fit as a freaking fiddle. Thank goodness. I think I was taking emergency every single day, and other than that, I wore a mask on the plane. That was about it. So I feel fine. I know a lot of people will not. This is statistically going to happen, but I'm feeling great. It was a well-attended conference. I think when they topped off the attendees, they have single-day tickets, that brings a few more in. So I think they hit 1,000 attendees.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Run a lot better than
It was run very
previous
well.
management.
Anna Collins, the CEO, is a professional event coordinator, planner. I mean, she is a pro. What I liked about them is they were not off in an office.
Yep.
Like a manager at a grocery store.
They were on the floor.
They were out there in the crowd, talking to people, interacting, constantly involved. When Anna, there are some very needy diva voice actors who are some of my friends, by the way. So I know you. And they're very needy and they have very, very specific needs. And Anna was there accommodating them in an incredible way. She was really hustling. And it was just, it was very well run from us on that's us on the presenter side. I knew it was going to be a good experience for the attendees because it pretty much always was for the most part, but it was for us on the back end of things that had the most complaints, and it was extremely well done, I think. And the expo hall was packed. The space they had set up for the expo hall, every single booth was accommodated. They really couldn't fit another one in there, which was really impressive. There were vendors there of all kinds. BSW was there representing Pro Audio. Vendor rep from Rode, I think his name was Brian. I apologize, Brian, right now for dropping your name. If I'm not saying the right name, but he was a busy dude. He was real busy answering questions, showing off the new Rodecaster Pro 2, but really the belle of the ball, tech-wise, other than TriBooth, which had a lot of great responses and we actually sold a few. Right.
Oh, well done
to folks.
Yeah.
But the Rode NT1 5th Gen with the USB 32-bit float was a big splash, and all of us techies were playing around with it. I did some tests with it. I got to understand better how a 32-bit float mic can actually work and actually do what it advertises, and it did. And I was very impressed. Considering you're buying a $250 Rode NT1 and they throw in this feature, there's no sacrifice on the bike. It's just, you just get a free feature. It's darn impressive. So
yeah,
it was a good show. I got to speak about do I need a booth, which was really all about soundproofing and acoustics. Answered a ton of questions. I did a 3-hour breakout session on just basically recording voiceover, and I had 12 people in there just hungry with questions. We must have talked about mic technique for an hour.
Wow.
And yeah, it was amazing. And then I was on the one outside the box panel I was on was the one that Paul Strickwerda hosted about award shows. So I was on that panel, which was very interesting. And it was talking about the lack of transparency in awards and the fact that, you know, there's some real problems with conflicts of interest with judges in some of these award shows. And, you know, it's like very clearly some issues, and it doesn't stop people from paying to register and paying to get nominated, but they still eat it up. So he was really very, we know, anybody that knows Paul Strickwerda knows he does not pull punches. He loves to stir the pot, but he knows what he's talking about, and he did exactly that. So,
well, I'm assuming, based on what you've said, and that Paul was chairing that discussion, he would not be a great fan of award shows for voiceover.
He's not, and this was interesting. Hugh Edwards was on the panel. So we had Hugh Edwards from Gravy for the Brain /One Voice Awards on that panel. And so you had somebody there who literally runs one, talking about from his perspective, and clearly it was Paul showing how one organization does it incorrectly and how the other one does it correctly. I mean, he was definitely making an example of One Voice Awards. Like, this is the way it should be done, everybody. So it was interesting. But yeah, he wasn't like anti them completely. He was anti doing it the wrong way. And then we had Rob Siglan-Paglia, the attorney, also saying, I'm really worried about the conflicts of interest that happen with these panels or these judging panels. And it's just not, it doesn't feel right. The way some
I'm
of them
not a
operate.
fan. I just don't get it. I think this whole thing about making a celebrity out of nothing, it just confuses me, and I find it really weird. Maybe it's the English in me. I just don't, you know, I'm happy to sit here quietly and just do my job and not worry about all that stuff. But and I'm not bitter because I've never got an award, because I haven't ever got an award. So
your award is getting the job. That's your award, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel about it? Because that's what a lot of people will say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who thought any of these awards were legit? All they are is something that you buy to be able to have something to put on your website and say that you won awards so that you can get more jobs, hopefully, for people that are uninvolved in the industry and don't understand that the award is completely purchased.
Well, do you feel that way about Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, Tonys too? Same deal? About all across the board? Okay.
Yes. I just think the level of purchasing is way bigger.
In a day and age where every child wins a trophy at the local athletics carnival, do you really think that there's serious consideration given to who's going to win a voiceover award? I don't think so. I think it's
here's an example. Here's one that the movie Tar with Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm hearing, and I don't know how true this is, but it is alleged that was snubbed because she was perceived as the female equivalent of a middle-aged white man. The accusation was she benefited when everything was white in Hollywood. And so for that reason, Tar didn't even, you know.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't disagree.
And I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard from someone on the inside.
The Oscars, the Academy is a highly politicized organization.
It's the same for all of them. All the advertising awards, all the Telly awards and the Cannes and the Lions, the depth, like some of them you literally can just buy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no faking it. And then there's others that, you know, like they're behind a huge organization and everything else, but there's all kinds of
It's such huge business that in LA, half the billboards literally say for your consideration on them. I mean, it's like, it's how big a business is. Worth buying a billboard for $200,000 to try to get a lot nominated to win it. Or maybe after you get nominated, you get, you know. So So award shows across the board, they can be done right. I think One Voice Awards does do it pretty well. I think what they do is the judging panel is 100% anonymous. You do not need to pay to be nominated. You cannot nominate yourself. And those are some of the right things, I think, about an awards show thing, if you're going to do an award. But yeah, it was an interesting discussion, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk more about some of the tech stuff?
Yeah,
I saw?
yeah. I think we've ventured enough.
I'll throw
about
my
awards.
2 cents in. I still don't understand 32-bit in the context of initial capture.
Yeah. Well, that would so I'll tell you. I'll give you a quick rundown because we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, tonight. But a quick rundown was that they were demoing it on Adobe Audition in multi-track mode. So that means it's going to work like multi-track mode, probably in any other DAW, right? And the tricky part was well, first of all, and we were doing everything on Macs. The gentleman from Rode was on a Mac, and everybody was working on Mac. So we were all working in the Mac context. I don't even know if the 32-bit float record function is even supported on Windows yet. It may be, but I'm not sure. So everything I'm talking about now is from the Mac perspective. But on the Mac, what we found out by plugging the mic into my MacBook was that just setting your recorder to 32-bit float did not work. You actually had to go into audio MIDI setup, which is essentially the sound driver.
And make it 32-bit, because you can have it 16, 24, 32-bit.
That's right. You had to set that. Until we did that, no matter what we tried, we would just get a clipped waveform, period, right? And unfortunately, we didn't troubleshoot that before we had Dave Fenoy testing it, right? So he was very patient, and he likes tech, so he was patient. But we must have had him there for at least half an hour while we farted around. But once we figured out that setting and got it correct, then we found that we were able to record in 32-bit float in multi-track, clip the living daylights out of the wave, and then after you're done, there's a wave level fader slider thing that basically adjusts the waves by clip, right? So it's not the fader, it's not the envelope, it's the actual waveform level.
Yeah, so it's clip gain, same as in Pro Tools.
Clip gain.
Sort of thing. Is that right? Yeah.
So you would take the clip gain and you would pull it down, or you could use normalize.
Where did you set your gain?
Don't have to. Just don't have to.
Exactly. So how did you clip it?
Well, you don't have to set the gain, but there is a gain slider on the Mac because you're adjusting the input gain setting on the mic through the sound driver of the Mac. So if you go to sound panel, sound control panel, and you go to input and you see a little slider, you can arbitrarily choose where to put the slider.
So what I want to know is that controlling the analog mic preamp? Because if it's not, it's, excuse my French, bullshit.
Yeah, it is controlling the digital, your digital system, the driver is talking to the hardware and controlling the hardware's gain level digitally.
The analog.
Yeah, right. So you can, if you're recording in 24-bit, right, it's a conventional USB mic. Absolutely no difference. You can clip the crap out of it if you want. You can do just, whatever. No problem. If you record in 32-bit float, you can arbitrarily set the gain setting. You can just guess somewhere in the middle so that the waveform isn't really nastily clipped if you want. Or if you want to show off to your friends, slide it all the way to the right where it just is horribly clipped. And then when you're done, you just clip gain, adjust. Now, I'd use normalize because it's super stupid easy. But you just renormalize that clip and Bob's your uncle. No clipping, period.
Wow.
End of story. It just worked.
Here's what I don't get and don't believe, basically. Yeah. Okay. If it didn't set the analog mic level, then there's absolutely no benefit and actual harm because you're not optimizing your gain stage.
Right.
And I know for a fact that 32-bit is a 23-bit capture of the shape of the waveform. That's the actual capture. And then it has an 8-bit chunk that is the gain. And 1 bit that
Something
is the
like
sign.
That. Yeah.
Okay? So if you're not setting the analog mic preamp, you're basically just not doing your job and you're getting the probably the worst performance out of it because you're capturing at such a low level so it can cover any situation where it might clip.
Yeah.
And then it's using all fake digital gain after the fact.
Right.
I don't
Yes and no.
fucking get it, man.
So
I don't get it.
once you get one of the mics, which I mean, guaranteed you will have one at some point, right? It's only a $250 mic.
Yeah.
You'll be able to do some real world tests in a studio that's quiet, and you can do some A/Bs between a properly gain set modulated 24-bit 96 wave, and then do another one with the fader slammed at the top and the bottom of the range, and do another test with 32-bit float, normalized, match levels, blah, 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 and then you can listen to it and see in the real world how they match up. I couldn't do that at the show. I mean, I was in a trade show floor. So I could record in both settings, compare them, and listen and hear no difference, but that didn't mean anything. I also recorded to my Portcaster, the Centrance Portcaster, as another control, and recorded on that. And, you could not hear a difference on it was too noisy. I couldn't, and I didn't have time to go to ISO booth to do it either. So anyway, this is all anecdotal, and we played with it, and I watched it work, and I saw the magic happen. The secret thing is not the fact that it has no gain setting that concerns you. It's how the algorithm chooses which of the 4 signal chains that are in the mic is used. Because what it's doing is it's mathematically combining 4 separate preamp AD converter chains. And it's taking the output of those 4 chains and doing the maths to give you your output, right? And that's the interesting part.
It is capturing with 3 different actual or 4 different actual analog gain settings.
That's right. And so using that, I don't know what those ranges are because that's obviously Rode's secret sauce, right? This is proprietary. But the mic is capturing 138 decibels of dynamic range. So its self noise is 4 dB. Its maximum input level is 142, which went up, by the way. I swear to God, it was less. And the guy's like, nope, look at the spec sheet. It says 142. I said, okay. They must just like the number 42 like me. I don't know.
Is it the NT1 or the NT1A?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Bolted this onto?
Oh, the NT1A is essentially dead.
Okay, so they bolted it onto an actual NT1.
Yeah, the NT1 is this is an NT1 with this new chip, this new circuit board inside, right? So, so I think it's going to be good for video game capturing. I think that's where it's going to be really popular because you can send this out to an actor or get the actor to buy one. They can put it up in their booth. And there's no more of this monkey business of the level should float somewhere around -18, which absolutely nobody knows what that actually means. And every game company puts it on there. I'm calling you out, Bright Skull, because you won't return my email about this. But it's like, I want to know what that means, Bright Skull. Tell me. But you put it on all your scripts. Come on. Speak up. But yeah, it's going to make that stuff easier. And that's why I thought it was fun to test it with Dave, because Dave did some battle chatter. The typical, okay, I'm telling you. And then he goes to the full thing, to a full out shout, Yeah. And that was a really good test for it. So could I have recorded Dave in 24-bit, just set the gain a little lower and made sure I wasn't clipping my mic or my pre? Of course. It works. I did it both ways. But once you can really streamline it so that you don't have to trick the Mac system into recording the correct bit rate and stuff, and it becomes really intuitive, I think it will be pretty revolutionary. I mean, the mic has a self noise of 4 dB. It is a quiet mic,
Well, I must chase them up and make sure we do get our mics to test, because it does sound intriguing.
Robert. Robert, I've listened to you explain this a million times, so I've been really on your, because I trust you completely as an authority of pro audio, right? And I always have listened to you, and I've used your examples of, dynamic range and all this stuff. But when I saw it actually working, and I had a better explanation of what it was doing, and that there is some voodoo because there has to be an algorithm that does that math to combine those different channels, or chains.
If they are actually capturing different analog gain settings, then it's a completely different thing than what I'm talking about.
Right. And that's the surprise, right?
Yeah.
I was completely on the same page with you when the F3 recorder from Zoom came out, and Zoom has a new desktop audio interface that's 32-bit float also, It's been advertising on Instagram like effing crazy. They got my number. I see it every day. And it's a Scarlett 2i2, but with 32-bit float, right? Just plug in your mic and go. But I will much more quickly trust the Rode product over the Zoom product. Zoom still has to earn my business. Their quality of their preamps it's just not been there. But yeah, if that's what the Zoom F3 is doing, they haven't done a good job of explaining it. And that's where Rode impresses the hell out of me. Not only do they make affordable, amazing tech, but they do an incredibly good job of training people and teaching concepts and how they work. The videos they released are excellent. Watch the 2 videos they have on the NT1 5th Gen. They seem to be doing a lot of things right. And they're really impressive.
Rode makes good products where they think about exactly who they want to address with that product, and the feature set is just like there, nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes they miss a mark here and there, like by putting hard gates instead of expanders where there should be hard gates. But in general, they get it from the user side, but also from the efficiency of the engineering side.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's why their tools are based are overwhelmingly now digitally controlled firmware devices. And that's to bring it around. That's why we're coming out with the Passport VO.
Exactly.
We want to go another direction. When everybody's going firmware, digital, console, control panels, on and on and on and on and on. I was able to finally share with the public pictures of the device, and I was showing on my iPad, so it threw people for a loop because they kept touching it. They thought it was
and this is they thought it was like a virtual interface.
Yes, they thought they were turning knobs and stuff. I was like, no, this is just a rendering. It's just a render because the render.
This is the first I'm hearing it from your voice. I mean, I knew you were talking to people about it, but just heard like, people were happy. Like it's good to hear.
They got really good feedback. I mean, this is what I've been.
How many did you sell?
Exactly.
Well, I posted it on social and I said, you need to contact us if you're interested. I said, just go to the Pro Audio Suite and let us know.
We're only doing a run of 100, right?
We're only doing a run of 100, folks. So we're going to be telling everybody about this thing for a period of time. When we've decided it's time, we're going to open up the web page and start taking orders. Those orders are going to be taken on the Centrance website, folks, not on ours. They are selling it. And when that 100 is sold out, that 100 is sold out. It doesn't mean there will never be another one, but that's going to be that run.
No, but there would have to be another batch.
Yeah, we don't know how long it'll be for the next run to come out. So this is going to be exciting. The responses on my social has been almost overwhelmingly positive. One guy's like, I don't know if it'll replace my Mix Pre 3. And I'm like, well, no. It will for many things and it won't for everything because the Mix Pre 3 is another one of these digitally controlled firmware-based devices. So
but the Mix 3 would probably have, in all honesty, a better preamp and a recorder.
We don't know that. We cannot say that for sure, right? We won't know until we run this thing. And we're all going to be testing it. People are saying, please let me know when I can test one. Please when I can test one. And my answer is essentially, you can test one as soon as you buy one.
As soon as you get one.
There are not going to be review units. There's not going to be influencer deals. There's not going to be a YouTuber thing. This thing's going to be sold to you guys, period. If you want one, you're going to buy one. And if you don't like it, we're going to buy it back from you.
Test units add to cost, right? So, we've got to provide them for free. That adds to the cost that we've got to sell them to you guys at. So,
yeah, we can't do that. Should we mention what we're planning to sell it for?
Sure.
Has the price point been locked in?
I believe it has. But if you're not feeling confident, we won't mention it yet. I did mention it online in an answer to.
I'll tell you what, you can put the price point out there and then bleep it out, and then the Patreon people can hear the price.
I don't know if that's a big enough draw, but
there's nobody on Patreon, so don't worry about it. So
my mom will find out. It's we're the target price, unless something surprises us with manufacturing or supply or whatever. The target price is $699 US. $699.
That's pretty good for what you get.
$699. So it was $700. I thought it was going to be $599. Damn it.
Yeah, we would love that price, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would.
Just $599.
Because there's so much of the internals of this thing are so complex compared to.
Well, it's two interfaces.
Yeah, this thing is literally it's literally two audio interfaces inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to understand how they work together. You just have to know which to set for which purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have really easy to follow instruction cards in this thing. We're obviously going to have incredibly good videos about how to use this thing.
George will be making some good videos, I would be thinking.
Absolutely.
Put in a simple way, it's two audio interfaces with a router mixer.
Mm-hmm. It's got the mix minuses so that you can record yourself and be on a communications tool, whether it be Source Connect, Zoom, or whatnot, and they will not step on each other. You can be on a Windows computer. The nightmare of audio multitasking.
And record a backup.
And record a backup. Yeah, you can. You have that flexibility with this thing, and it will. We designed this thing, the four of us, really in concert with Michael Goodman of Centrance, really five of us, but the four of us here drove what...
I think he undesigned it.
Well, it is really hard when you're so passionate about what you want a product to do and a manufacturer says, I can't do something, and it is frustrating. Yeah. There are certain things we couldn't do due to the constraints
I'm
of
glad we didn't get together in a single room and do it.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
The flying chairs. The flying chairs. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very interesting process. I've never done anything like it before. I know Robert's done a lot of product.
I've done the product.
He's done product.
Yeah.
I haven't really done anything at this level. It was a fascinating process. It was a lot of time, but it was also really interesting and fun. I got to figure out how to do signal flow diagrams, and
they were very good.
They were good.
It was really, it was really cool to see how the signal, and as soon as I'd send it to Robert, he'd make it worse, and then I would have to figure. There is a three-way switch. I think it's the only three-way switch, but there is one three-way switch on the unit that makes it do things that don't exist anywhere else. Yep. Which makes it really exciting. It's essentially several different Centrance products with a mind meld with other things that other products can't do, all in one little box.
Yeah. It's everything that, from my perspective at least, it was, what is the tool that I want a voiceover person to have in their hands so that my job is easier and I can easily get from them what I need. And I don't get from them what I don't need, like echoing and other crazy stuff. Yeah. So it's simplified, but it has that three-way switch. You know, it has your stereo -10 recording. Mm-hmm. So you because it's not 32-bit.
It's a safety level. We have a safety track, right? With a separate channel that is safety so that you don't overdrive your preamp when you're doing battle chatter.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or if you're the type of VO that's got like a 416 and a U87, you can capture both of those.
You absolutely can if you want. You could literally do what they do in a lot of pro commercial studios, which is have a close mic and a far mic. Yep. You can,
you can record your clients barking orders at you.
That's right. So you can record your voice coach. You can record your voice coach and have that captured for training later. You can do podcasting.
3 products with one switch.
It really is. It is.
Indeed.
It is. So it's, obviously we're all incredibly proud of it. I can't speak for the others, but for me, this is a really big deal. I've wanted to have a product like this for over 10 years. It's something I've been excited about for a really long time. Yep. And it just popped up on a show. Man,
it did, didn't
this
it?
thing doesn't exist. Should we make it?
Serendipitous.
Should we do it? Let's do it.
We finished an episode and went, shit.
Pull you back a little bit. Be like, George.
I know. I was ready. I was ready to just say, who are these guys? Never mind. I'll just go to Michael. I was ready to. That's how excited I was. I didn't want to do an end around on anybody, but I was so excited to get it going. I would have done it on my own if I could have, but this was a team effort. We all contributed to it, and we all made sure that it was going to be user friendly and still do some things that are not possible with any other product without a lot of know-how.
Yeah, it's also language as well.
Or at least
important.
the difference in cost in other boxes to make it do what our box does in one box.
Yeah, I mean,
what you'd have to buy like a gold digger. You'd have to buy a a second interface?
Right, 'cause
like just those two things alone, and you're above the price point.
I know the Gold Diggers I've installed in studios, which if you guys don't know what this is, it's just a 4-mic selector box, that just lets you select 4 different mics really cleanly with no noise, and lets you level match them if you need to. And what we use them for is to switch 2 mics and then have a third position for a mute. That's what I do with the Gold Digger. Like I do it all the time. That's a $400 US switcher box. Okay, just for perspective.
Included in this interface.
Everyone. It's in there, guys. So there's a proper mic button, a mic mute button. How many products for voiceover exist that have a mic mute button dedicated on the hardware until you get to the really expensive end of the things? None. Mm-hmm. And even on the expensive ones, the mute button doesn't actually mute the mic. It only mutes it in your headphones. So it's not really muting. This one's going to actually mute the freaking mic.
Yeah. Swear at the client all you like.
Mute it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's, we're really proud of it.
Decent meter. How many boxes have a somewhat decent meter that's not in the computer?
Yeah. A good meter.
0.
Yeah. A good 2-to-1 compressor that kicks in around -10. It's very smooth. A good high pass filter on each channel.
Separate phantom power for each microphone.
That was a thing we had to go we had a lobby for that one too. Separate phantom power.
We did. Can't believe how much we get to fight for that one. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was the thing. But I was like, that will set this product apart from other products. Everything else has a single phantom power switch until you get to the really high end expensive stuff. And this is, so I'll leave it at this because I do have to go. It is the yin to the Apollo twin yang.
Yeah.
Right? If you've been using an Apollo twin even for 5-10 years and you're just hopelessly frustrated with the complexity and it's just for no good reason because you don't use any of the dumb DSP stuff, you just don't need it. This is the solution. So
And by the way, it's going to work with Chrome too.
That's right. It will work with Chrome. It'll work with anything.
Like Apollo.
Yeah. So
and it's
anyway,
got also, you've got a direct line in as well. So if you've got a fancy preamp that you want to use, or
it's designed to take that high
speaker output. And it handles the speaker output properly, so there's no feedback.
Balanced speaker outputs and unbalanced speaker output, both.
Yeah.
So you can plug in either kind
or an alternate headphone output for your booth.
So you can run another headphone.
It really is flexible.
It's crazy. Everybody that looked at it, that especially the audio-oriented people that looked at it, were all blown away with it. And you guys are going to be too. Check it out it'll be up on the site as soon as Robbo has a chance to put it up there. It will be
up there now.
Yep,
absolutely.
And you'll be able to start looking at it and telling us that you want one, and then we'll be taking orders when we're good and ready.
Absolutely.
We're not going to string you along, but we need to make sure you guys are ready because we do need to get that big pre-sale happening.
Yeah. The first 5 purchasers can join us on our podcast.
That would be an interesting incentive. Yeah, the first 10 people on the thing are going to be guests of the show. Yeah, there's all kinds of fun things we can cook up. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And it won't be doing things like this when you actually open up.
No more mic speaker feedback. Exactly.
That's it.
No more feedback.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to TriBooth and Austrian Audio, recorded using Source Connect, edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging, with tech support from George the Tach. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.